In the senior living business, sometimes it's the smallest details that make all the difference. And I like to tell a story regarding those little details when I'm training and working with salespeople and administrators and anybody who will listen in this business. I was opening a brand new memory care assisted living community in Houston, Texas, and this was several years ago. And it was the week of our grand opening, so everyone was very, very busy. And I just happened to be in the front office one morning, and a customer came through the door. And it was a middle-aged lady and looking for a place for her mom. So we sat down and started to chat for a little while, finding out about her mother and her wants and her needs and what she's looking for. And she mentioned that her mother is currently in another assisted living community in the area. And she thought it was a nice place and thought they did a real nice job. And I made note of that, and as we went through the conversation, I brought it up again, and I asked her, well, I understand your mom's in another place and you like it, but why are you here today? Well, she confided in me that every day that she goes to visit her mother, she goes in and she sees there's a cup of coffee sitting in front of her, completely untouched. And it was important to her because she had told those folks that her mother is a tea drinker, has always been a tea drinker, never liked coffee, ever. But every time she goes to visit, she always has coffee. So that got her thinking, if they're not paying attention to that little detail, what else isn't being paid attention to? What am I not seeing when I'm not here? And and that's a valid concern. So, I of course told her, the salesman in me is going to tell you that we are going to absolutely provide tea for your mother. I said, but I'm like you. Once I walk out the doors, I'm not 100% certain what's going to happen either. But we're going to do our best to make sure she's happy. So we went out to take a little tour, look around the community, and we went into the one wing that had been open and occupied for a little while, and we were walking around the common areas, and we were in the living room, and there was a group of residents sitting around a table with an activities director having some sort of a current events session or something like that. And there was a nice plate of cookies, and some folks had some coffee, and some folks had some soft drinks, but there were two ladies sitting at the table, and you could see clearly right in front of them 2 teacups with little teapots and that little paper tab on a string hanging out of those teacups. So obviously I pointed that out to the person on this tour, and when she saw those little tea bags, she turned to me and said, well, when can I move my mother in? Now, I tell that story because something as insignificant to some people as perhaps a 9-cent tea bag may not seem like the difference maker between purchasing one item or another or moving into one community or another. But to that lady, that tea bag represented a lot more than 9 cents or a lot more than just following a care plan. It represented trust. It represented a promise that we were keeping to those folks when they moved in. So it was the power of that small detail that made the huge difference. My name is Jerry Flentje, and I'm the president of Brightside Consulting, where no vacancy is not just our motto, it's our mission.